51,871 people up to this point right now have stopped and engaged, meaning they've either quote tweeted me, retweeted me, responded to somebody else who tweeted above. And we're going to talk about this dude. 14,000 people have expanded the details of this tweet. So meaning they read all the comments. Then they also went to my profile. 7,000 profile visits. People were trying to figure out, who is this guy tweeting this junk? Like, who tweeted this?
On the field, in the broadcast booth, Ron Johnson is Minnesota sports. One-of-a-kind opinions, big-name guests, the teams you care about every day. It's the Ron Johnson Show, part of Locked On Sports Minnesota, and it starts now.
Welcome to the Ron Johnson Show. It's a special one. It's my birthday today. Got my boy Spice Adams joining me later to discuss the NIL situation with Nick Saban, Deion Sanders, and Jimbo Fisher. He has some great advice. He texted me this too. He has some great advice for Nick Saban. Nick Saban's in hot water. He has some great advice for Nick Saban of how to get out of this situation. Not sure it's going to work, but he does have some good advice. We're going to talk Twins, of course, because they're still on that tear. They were able to sweep the Royals. We're going to talk a little bit of basketball because, it's the NBA Finals is coming up soon, and I think the two teams I picked are going to be there. I don't think I've ever gotten it right, but this might be the year I finally get it right, but who knows? This Boston-Miami Heat might throw me off a little bit. But up first, while I bring Sam Ekstrom in, my producer, we have to talk about something that was crazy this past 2 or 3 days. And Sam, as we jump into this, man, and we talked about this, and it calmed down today, thank God. I think it's finally calming down. It's gonna pass. This too shall pass.
Your poor mentions, by the way. You must have been getting blown up.
Yeah, I literally muted it. So I'm looking at this now. So 8 million impressions. It doesn't give me the exact. So it's 8 million. Could be close to 9 already, but 8 million impressions. So meaning 8 million people looked at the tweet. They didn't interact with it. They just looked at it and then scrolled by it because you have to stop to actually get that impression. So they stopped, looked at it, read it, moved on. 8 million people. 51,871 people up to this point right now have stopped and engaged, meaning they've either quote tweeted me, retweeted me, responded to somebody else who tweeted above. And we're going to talk about this dude. 14,000 people have expanded the details of this tweet. So meaning they read all the comments. Then they also went to my profile. 7,000 profile visits. People were trying to figure out, who is this guy tweeting this junk? Like, who tweeted this? And then I only got a couple new followers. Not a lot. Couple. Here's the tweet. It's all over a tweet. The tweet says, can you name 10 NFL quarterbacks you'd rather have over current quarterback for the Vikings, Kirk Cousins? I said, I don't think you honestly can. And this is why. When you look at the top 10 list, so like Brandon Molesky, for instance, friend of the show, he said Mahomes, Allen, Rodgers, Brady, Wilson, Dak, Lamar, Burrow, Herbert, Stafford, Kyler. I don't agree with Kyler. I don't agree with Dak. And even Russell Wilson to this point. And people are like, oh, Russell Wilson and Kirk Cousins are in the same draft class. Yeah, but Kirk didn't have to play for 3 or 4 years. Whereas Russell played from the start. He's been injured. Your body takes a toll on you if you play right away. You're getting beat up. Where Kirk got to sit back for a little bit and relax and watch RG3 come in sparingly when RG3 gets hurt and then eventually becomes a starter. You go to another list. Similar, Mahomes, Allen, Herbert, Burrow, Rodgers, Brady. But this is the one. And I don't know if I have it exactly. But Shannon Sharp. I don't know what I did to Shannon Sharp. I didn't do anything to him. Shannon, I love Shannon. He's a great guy. But Shannon Sharp came off the top rope. And his biggest thought process in this one was just I don't know if he doesn't like Kirk Cousins, or he just really, because a lot of people have a stigma about Kirk. And let's be honest. Shannon Sharp won Super Bowls. He played with one of the best quarterbacks in NFL history in John Elway. So his what should we call it? His thought process of what a quarterback should be probably isn't what a lot of other people think. Meaning he's seen elite, but he's also won with the Ravens with a quarterback who threw the ball sparingly and they ran the ball. It was about defense, not turning the ball over. And so Shannon Sharpe, it started off crazy anyway, because of course people it's Kirk Cousins. You tweet Kirk Cousins like throwing frozen French fries into 500-degree oil. And so people were talking about, so here's Shannon Sharpe's quote tweet: Brady, Burrow, Rodgers, Herbert, Mahomes, Stafford. I can get with them on that. Allen, I probably can see Josh Allen. I can see that because he is elite. He does run. He does make some ridiculous throws. Watson, we haven't seen for a year, so I'm concerned about that one. When you take that much time off from football, I don't really know, what you're going to get. What's the product you're going to get on the field? But this Murray Wilson, I'm struggling with that. And then he says, is that enough? ? No, that's not enough, Shannon. Yeah, it's enough. But this is the thing. Murray, I don't know why everybody's so high up on Kyler Murray. Personally, it just looks like a kid running around, making circus throws to DeAndre Hopkins sometimes. Like, he can't really see over the line. You give Kirk Cousins an offensive coordinator like a Sean McVay, like a Zach Taylor. I think he's better. Like, I think they're going to groom him to be better. You look at when Kirk Cousins was with Kevin O'Connell, did pretty well. Now he has him back. And that's why I say that. Like, people are forgetting that Kirk Cousins played in a dictatorship. He played for a coach that did not visit him in the offensive meeting room. Definitely they started watching film together. But, I mean, I've heard comments from offensive players that would say something like, oh, yeah, I don't really see him around. Like, why not? Oh, well, he's with the defense. So there's nothing wrong with that. It's not a knock. It's just saying it's the truth. Kirk Cousins hasn't had a coach sit in meetings with him, sit down next to him. Kevin O'Connell is going to be right there in the offensive meeting room with Kirk Cousins. He's going to even stop in the quarterback room every once in a while with Kirk Cousins. Like, this is his baby. The offense is his baby. Mike Zimmer, his baby was defense. So we did that. But that's why Kevin O'Connell went out and got Ed Donatel. Get a veteran DC so that I can relinquish it. Zimmer tried to do that with Gary Kubiak. He had it with Shermer, and then he ended up giving Clint Kubiak the job, which a lot of people question that. And so then you don't have that, like, that veteran coach presence to say, this is where I'm at. And so I say this, Sam, after Shannon Sharpe did all that, now the quote tweets are at 500 quote tweets and only 12 retweets. The biggest thing is the comments. Like, people are absolutely murdering the comment section. Like, they are all over this thing. It's crazy how many comments. And people love to quote tweet it because they want to say their quarterbacks and then get their friends to see it and respond. Some people want to say, oh, he's goofy. He's this. This is what I say, man. I can say normal, smart stuff all the time. I can be honest. I've always said, I don't know if Kirk Cousins has the true clutch gene that some of these top guys have, but I think he can, you can coach him up and we'll see if he can do it. Like, at the end of the day, you still have to make the play. But here's what I say. I'm tired of, like, towing the line and being this, like, I'm going to be right here in the middle. I'm going to make sure I don't say anything crazy. I'm going to Skip Bayless this thing. Like, Skip Bayless says the dumbest stuff ever, and he's getting paid a lot of money to say it. So why wouldn't I? Stephen A. Smith jumps out there all the time and says stuff. It might not be the best. It might come back as controversial. People might question him, but they're talking about it. So why would I sit up there and do this when I can do that and get this out of it? I get Ryan Clark. I get Shannon Sharpe. I get all these people with blue check marks from all these different publications now commenting on the tweet, saying whatever they want to say. You can't say I don't know football, though. You can say whatever you want. You can't say I don't know football. You can call me goofy. You can say, dude, are you high? You can say, were you drunk? Maybe. But you cannot say I don't know football. And so I say that because I'm like, let's let this year play out. If Kirk Cousins sucks this year and he's still making the same dump offs when somebody's wide open, I'll go back. I'll say, you know what, man, I was wrong. Here's 10 or here's 12 or 15 quarterbacks I take Kirk. But if Kirk comes out and kills it and Kevin O'Connell gets lightning in a bottle like Zach Taylor got, like Matt LaFleur got, like Sean McVay got, why not? He got it with Jared Goff. And so that's where I go with that. But I get Shannon. Like I said, you play with John Elway. Of course you don't think Kirk Cousins is elite. Like, you play with John Elway. That's like playing an Xbox or PlayStation and then going and playing with an Atari from 1980. Like, you're going to be like, I mean, I get it. It works. It's not this Xbox. Like, that's what Shannon Sharp is. But also it's Shannon, and he loves to do that. He's done it to me, like, I think once or twice now, where he's just kind of flamed it up. And I'll check the next day, like you said, my mentions, and I have no idea what happened. And I look at the originator of it, because again, I didn't know what had happened. I just saw the thing blowing up, and then I saw the quote tweet, because you have to kind of, you have to click some of them to see them. Then I'm like, all right, this appreciate it though. I'm saying, like, I'm glad he did it, because he blew my tweet up. And so now, but that's why I'm gonna defend it. Like, I look at Kirk Cousins' numbers. I could say he's 9th or 10th, but Kyler Murray, I'm not so, because that's the one that keeps getting thrown in there by everybody. I'm just not sold that he's better than Kirk Cousins. Lamar Jackson, his system. I don't know if he could sit back in a true path. Not say he's not a quarterback. He's a quarterback. We're not playing that game. Like, that's dumb and antiquated. He's a quarterback, but he's a quarterback that needs a system to work with him. And that's where I think Kirk Cousins is. He needs a system that's going to work for him. Ryan Tannehill needed a system that worked for him. He found it in Tennessee. He needed a healthy dose of the run game, and then he can work into the pass game. I think Kirk Cousins needs to pass to run. I think Kirk Cousins needs to feel loved to succeed. I think Kirk Cousins needs a little push in the back to become like a guy that's going to take chances and understand if you make a mistake, hey, we're okay, man. We got a great defense. I tell my daughter's team all the time in softball, when you're a pitcher and you got elite people behind you, you can just pitch. You don't have to think about, I got to strike every single girl out. I watched UCF this weekend go to 11 innings with Michigan. And that's what happened. When she realized Jada Cody and these girls were out there making plays behind her, she just relaxed and started pitching. Like Oklahoma, their pitchers like, man, we're about to score 20 runs in this game. They put up 20 on Texas A&M. That's why I'm like, I don't know if the Gophers wanted to get to that game to play the championship against Oklahoma. 20-0 in softball. That looked like a football score. 20-0. If I'm a pitcher and I know I got these girls, Jocelyn Alo, and the rest of these girls hitting the ball like that, she had 2 home runs. I can just pitch because these girls are going to put runs up. That's where I think Kirk Cousins needs to get. He needs to get the confidence to say, if I make a mistake, it's not that big of a deal. My defense is going to help me out too. But Sam, I mean, what do you think about the weekend with Shannon Sharp and his tweet, man?
Man, I love your passion to defend this thing. I think it's awesome. You know how I feel about.
Yeah, you think Kirk Cousins middle of the road? I know it. Yep.
But on your birthday, I don't have an intention of raining on your parade entirely. I just want to point out the one stat that I keep going back to, the stat that comprehensively grades quarterback play, takes into account everything: sacks, turnovers, success rate, EPA. It lumps it all together. QBR. Kirk Cousins' QBR in his 4 years with the Vikings: 15th, 18th, 13th, 14th. That's all I got.
But
That's
the QBRs, this is the thing about QBRs. One was created by ESPN because they needed a stat. They needed something to talk about. The person that created it, it doesn't take into account the doors getting blown off by the offensive line. Like running for your life, making throws, play calling. It doesn't take into account 3rd and freaking 13, and you're going to run a screen. You know what I mean? Like, it's some, like, it doesn't take into account some of the dumb stuff. And when I say screen, I don't mean like a cute, tricky, I mean like a everybody knows it's coming screen, or a draw, where the play gets blown up and now you're running with the ball because you get sacked because these guys couldn't. I mean, one of your guys throws the lineman into you, and the play is not a screen, it's a pass, and he throws the guy, hits him in the back, and throws it by you. A lot of Vikings fans remember that play. I forgot which lineman it was, but it absolutely just threw the guard into the nose tackle into Kirk Cousins, like stepping on his foot and he falls. Like, that's the stuff QBR doesn't always take into account. That's why I look at passer rating. He's 103. He was 4th last year. Like, his passer rating has been good. His QBR, maybe not, but his yards, his conversions, all of that stuff, he's in those top 10 categories. Explosive plays and explosive plus, he's up there. Oh, Kirk Cousins dumps the ball up. The man is top 4 in explosive plays, 20 plus, 40 plus. So, yeah, I get it. It's apples and apples, or apples and oranges, whatever you want to say. Tomato, tomato, potato, potato. We got to figure it out this season. He's got a new coach. I might be wrong. I can admit that. I've learned after 16 years of marriage, I might be wrong. Not a lot, but I might be. But that'll do it for the first segment of the Ron Johnson Show. Up next, man, we got my boy Spice Adams. He wants to flame Nick Saban a little bit, and he has a key word for Nick Saban. He called Nick Saban something. Stick around for that key word because I like it. I think that's where Nick Saban is at right now. Stay tuned. Up next on the Ron Johnson Show. If you enjoy the Ron Johnson Show, you enjoy our other daily show on the Locked On Sports Minnesota Network. It's Superior Sports Talk with KARE-11 Sports Director Reggie Wilson and his co-host Luke Inman. Whether it's Twins, Vikings, Wolves, Wild, or Lynx, Reggie and Luke have it all covered with all the breaking news and the big opinions. Catch the show 5 days a week by subscribing to Locked On Sports Minnesota's YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcasts. And today, it's my birthday, so I got to bring my boy Spice Adams in and talk a little bit about college football. The guy was a college football player. Everybody who doesn't know that, everybody assumes he's just this comedian. Before he was a comedian, though, he was my high school teammate. He was my friend. He was the guy that whatever team he ended up on, I never lost. And that continues to this day. We can play any game you want. Pickleball, basketball, horse, you name it, I'm going to win it. But Spice, man, I want to thank you for joining me again on the Ron Johnson Show. Hey, let's jump out there, man. So we've been texting back and forth, past couple of days about this. Our group chat, it's the dopest group chat in the world. It's the longest. I think we got the most messages. There's got to be a world record for the number of messages we have that one have not been leaked, and two, that we continue to stay strong. Because some group chats, you've been a part of them, they get stale, and then you get that one random message. You're like, man, all right, cool.
Yeah.
But this one, man, we go hard, man. So we talked about Deion Sanders, Jimbo Fisher, and Nick Saban. And today, I'm going to give Nick Saban his just due. He has time. He apologized for the words he said, but it doesn't take it back. In your opinion, looking at NIL, which you could have done at Penn State, Nick Saban's comments about cheating in Alabama for the last couple of years have had the best recruiting class, allegedly, with doing it legally, like Shannon Sharp put out there as well, that who's going to come from California to Alabama for no reason. What are your thoughts on Nick Saban?
Well, first of all, let me just say happy birthday, my man. I think you're 52. That is awesome, man. Getting old, man. You can eat at Denny's half off now, so that is commendable. But I think Nick Saban, he's a hater. Like, seriously, dog. Like, are you kidding me? This man was just in the Aflac commercial with Deion Sanders. You know who he is.
Facts.
You know what he do. You know what he about. He trying to get kids to come to his college just like you. So I don't think you should really. It's hard enough to get kids to go to a HBCU, and if you get a 3-star to go to a HBCU, you jumping for joy, let alone a 4 or 5-star. So soon as one comes to HBCU, then all of a sudden it's just like, oh, Jackson State, they doing this. Like, come on, man. Don't downplay what Deion Sanders is doing to try to get these kids to come to HBCU, because you got to go through all types of hoops just to get a 2 and 3-star to go there. So for him to do that he should not have done that, man. And he knows better, and I'm glad he apologized. But it's just like, if you punch somebody in the stomach as hard as you can, and you say, I'm sorry after that, that person's stomach is still going to hurt. So.
Well, yeah, so Jimbo Fisher is clearly hurt. He called him a narcissist. He said
he's going in.
Yeah, he said he thinks he's God. He said, I'm not answering the phone when he calls or texts me. Screw you. Deion Sanders, he didn't take the high road, but he took a different route. Deion is more loquacious. He's more he's prime time. He's gonna get the box office jumping. And so Deion went the route of just explaining the facts. And Deion's facts, which were agree with mine on the Ron Johnson show on Friday morning before Deion came out and said it. I said on this show, Nick Saban is doing that strictly for his recruits, one, but then also for his people like his boosters, his president, his AD. That was for them. That was to say, hey, man, we got to open up this recruiting budget. Hey, I need you guys to go help me recruit. We need to redo the locker room for the 5th time since I've been here. I mean, and now this morning, Fox Sports, everybody, ESPN, every single Shannon and Skip, everybody saying what I said, which is, oh, wait, Nick Saban is calculated. This man is not stupid. It's like, he's leading everybody into this trap of he's hurt. He's not hurt. Nick Saban's making $9 million. He don't care. Nick Saban knows he's got still the best team, one of the best teams.
So why even say that then?
Because he wants more money. This, like, that, man. When you rich, you still want to be richer. So when your team is the best, you still want to be the bestest. And so if you think about that, I mean, look at you. Look at you. Like, you got all this stuff for social media. You can't stop. Is this
going to be a fat joke, Ron?
No. See, I wasn't going to do that.
You're full, but you're still going to eat some chips. You're still going to eat the pizza.
You got like all these views, but you still going to put out another video the next day, and then another video the next day, and another video the next day. You know what I mean? Like, you going to keep pushing. You still going to call more and more companies to work with. You know what I mean? You're going to take more and more commercials. So that's where Saban is at. He's like, give me more. Yeah, okay. I want another, Final Four. But there's the thing. He lost. If Nick Saban had won, I don't think we'd be here. Like, if Nick Saban had won, I think he would be content and say, you know what? I'm good. But the fact that Kirby Smart now is on his neck, and you got Texas A&M is coming after him now. Like, Nick Saban is scared. He's scared. And so, Spice, I say this to you. If Nick Saban, you and Nick Saban were doing the Aflac commercial, and you guys, this just happened. He punched you in the stomach. He apologized for it. But now you got to show up on set to do the Aflac commercial. I know you about your money, so you're going to do what you got to do. But are you going to give him the, like, buddy behind the scenes? Or you like, man, look, we just here for business. I want my check, and then I'm out of here. I ain't got nothing to say to this dude.
Yeah, I can't fake the funk. Like, I just got to be real, bro. Like, how you going to say something like that? And then, we just, like, everything is all good after that because you apologize. Like, no, man, you shouldn't have said that. If he hadn't said anything, people still gonna come to Alabama. True. Like Shannon Sharp said, like, you got people from California who's never even been to Alabama who wants to go to the school just because of they're winning. They're one of the hottest teams out there. Nick Saban is there, so you don't even have to do anything. It's a lot of times where he probably doesn't even have to do any recruiting. People are gonna come there anyways. True. So, like, I don't get, like, the message that you're trying to get out there, because at the end of the day, people are still going to want to come to your school. So he lost me with that one.
So, and Travis Hunter is the kid they're talking about. Let's stick with Jackson State. Texas A&M, I think we know what they did. They're okay with it. It's legal. So, yep, we got money. We got oil money. Let's go out here and do this. But Travis Hunter, like Deion said, I love Deion Sanders' quote. He said, man, I don't got to pay my people to come play for their people. Right. And for people that don't understand what that means, it's like black football players for years have built up these white, historically white colleges, the Penn States, the Michigans, Michigan States, the Wisconsins, the Iowas, and have gotten not a lot for it. You know what I mean? They leave, great, you got a free education, you might have made it to the NFL, but after that, bye. You look at Travis Hunter, if he actually stays for 3 years before he hits to the NFL, and he turns it around where they're going to go undefeated, he's playing both ways, receiver and DB. Deion Sanders is going to get him right because Deion can train him because it's legally his coach. He can train him in the offseason. He can train with him during the season, get him tip-top DB, whatever, speed, he has it. We saw him run track, kid's fast, and then he goes to the NFL. This is a kid that's going to become, like, they're going to put a statue of Travis Hunter at Jackson State. Like, he's going to, like, the NILs are going to come. And he even said, man, how could I get $1 million and the school's budget is only $8 million, but I'm going to get $1 million? And why is my mom, and I think he says mom or grandma, is still like in a 2 or 1 bedroom house with like 3 kids. Like,
Mhm.
why would I let her still live there?
Yeah.
So in your opinion, Spice, like, do you see this now as Jackson State and Deion, it's calculated on his part too, to just kind of, fire back about, hey, look what you're seeing as, you're a commodity. I'm gonna love you, but you're a commodity to them. Do you think you're gonna see more top recruits now kind of join Travis Hunter and say, let's go do something special?
Yeah, why not? I mean, it's a different day and age. Um, a lot of these athletes, they get money thrown around to them all the time, whether you're in the pros or even if you're retired, so why not make that money? I remember Chris Webber was talking about him being starving and broke, and you walk past the one of the stores that sell your jerseys there, and people are paying $100 a jersey, and you get 0% of that, and you're walking around there, and you can't even buy yourself something to eat. Somebody was nice enough to give you a car, you can't even put gas in it. You can't even go anywhere to get groceries. You got to wait for a whole nother week before your parents get paid so that they can send you some money. So it's a new day and age. Like, these kids get these NILs and they deserve them. If somebody wants to pay you $1 million for you to showcase their product, and all you got to do is post some stuff on Instagram or TikTok and all of that type of stuff, that's the world that we live in. And you just make the adjustment. So I'm all for it, man, because I know what it's like to be broke in college. I know what it's like to go to Red Lobster and get a side Caesar salad for $2 and tell them to keep them Cheddar Bay biscuits coming. And I want a water and a lemon and some sugar packets. Make myself a lemonade there.
You got to get 6
ain't
lemons
no
though.
being
Get
broke in
6
college,
lemon
man.
slices. You want 6
Yeah.
lemon slices and 6 packets of sugar and a water. And it's, you want a lemonade? No. I want water
Ain't
with
no
6 lemon
joke
packets and some sugar.
being broke in college. And especially if you are the one person in your family to go to college, like nobody else can relate. You can't call home and be like, hey, da. Like they won't even know what you're talking about.
Right. Yeah, man. So, lastly, when you look at Nick Saban now, he's now, I mean, everybody hates him. All the coaches hate him because he basically, it's like the unwritten rule in basketball. We see a lot of basketball players who become hated because they're hurting players, like Grayson Allen. When you do dirty stuff to hurt players and players, top players get hurt and they don't come back. Jimmy Butler gets his knee pulled just because the guy was about to go by him in a game that you can't win, but you're going to hurt our star. You're seeing more and more of that, where there's an unwritten rule. Baseball, don't throw at my head. Same with softball. Don't throw a pitch at her head. You can hit her in the back, shoulder, arm, whatever, brush her off the plate, but not towards the head. Again, baseball, don't celebrate my face. Don't yell at me. Don't talk too close to me. Don't look at me if I'm the umpire. Like, that's a weird one. But all these unwritten rules. And so now I feel like Nick Saban has crossed the line, because at those coaches meetings and those private meetings, when coaches are discussing NILs, I think Nick Saban is going to be ostracized for a while. If you're Nick Saban, is there anything he can do to kind of get his brethren back, to say, hey, I really screwed up. I'm an old man yelling at the clouds. Can you guys forgive me?
Donate some money, donate some time to HBCU. Do that. Specifically Jackson State. Go up there and make it right. Come on. You know what you got to do. I mean, we all grown men here. Put your money where your mouth is. Go do that. Do that.
You heard it there from Spice Adams. Nick Saban got to drop some money to Deion Sanders' campaign just to say, hey, man.
And some time.
Right. Because, they did bring up the budget of how big of a budget Saban has and then how small of a budget Deion has. And Saban, honestly, he couldn't believe it. Travis Hunter, number 1 corner player, athlete in the country, did not want to come play for him. He wanted to go play for his athletic buddy Deion. And honestly, I feel like that was a side holster clip a bullet he's been sitting on since the signing day, since Texas A&M became number one, since he lost to Georgia, and since Deion Sanders ended up getting Travis Hunter. I feel like that's a clip he was holding on to, just loading it up. Like Kevin Garnett says, he got a couple of Uzis, he got a couple of pumps. He was loading it up because he was waiting for this day, because he's like, look, I've been telling my boosters, you got to go out here and do this, and they're not doing it. And so then that happens. And I'm glad I bought Spice Adams on, and the word he used for the day is hater. That's the word. And he knows, because he married one. Like, it's my birthday. It's my show. So I'm glad I get to throw that out there. So when she watches this, she will know she is my nemesis, Mrs. Adams. She took my best friend away from me, and she is the biggest hater there is. Next to Nick is Nick Saban, and then it's Andanika Adams right there. Hater 1 and hater number 2. Up next, we got the Daily 3. That's 3 questions, 3 minutes. We'll be back after this. Do you want instant post-game reaction from insiders that cover your favorite sports teams? Check out our Locked On Sports Minnesota's podcast on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Following every Twins, Vikings, Wild, or Wolves game, our Locked On team hosts are broadcasting live with team insiders like Kevin Gork for the Wild and Brandon Warren for the Twins. Never miss a podcast by subscribing to Locked On Sports Minnesota on YouTube. Well, we heard from Spice Adams. You heard what happened to my Twitter this weekend. Well, now it's time for segment I love. That's the Daily 3. That's 3 questions, 3 minutes each. Take it away, Sam.
Comebacks galore on Sunday afternoon. One of them on a big golf stage, one of them in Kansas City involving the Minnesota Twins. So the Twins down 6-0 in the 8th inning. They come back and win 7-6, 5 runs in the 8th, 2 in the 9th. They sweep the Kansas City Royals. In golf, Justin Thomas down 7 strokes entering the final round, storms back, goes to a playoff with Will Zalatoris, and wins in the playoff for his 2nd career PGA championship. Ron, I ask you, which comeback is more impressive? The Twins down 6th in the 8th, or Thomas down 7 in the final round?
So in golf, we know it's a game, like in that weather, first of all, that became mental. Like, I think if it was nice, hot, sunny, 80 degrees, nice little breeze, great day out on the course where you can have a iced tea lemonade, sit back, greet the fans. But I saw people in winter coats. You saw players walking down the green, the fairway, with mittens on. It was miserable because I've played in the cold and I've quit. It sucks. Your hands are cold. You're trying to figure out ways to stay warm. You're blowing on them. The club is hard as a rock. The ball is hard. Like, it just doesn't compress in the cold. Like, if you freeze a golf ball and try to hit it, it might break. It can't compress completely when it's cold, and that just changes everything. You have to, club up, as they say. You have to maybe hit it under the wind. You saw a lot of worm burners. You saw a lot of guys trying to work balls and do different things that you don't see normally. You also see guys mentally breaking down. That was impressive. The Twins, though, that was just as impressive. Baseball is not a game where when you go into the 8th and 9th innings down, the 7th inning stretch song plays and you're down like that. And mainly because it's so early in the season too, a lot of teams just give up. They put their second baseman in to come pitch, finish the game out, let's move on. The Twins are showing the resiliency that they're going to need down the stretch, because we talked about this, the early report card, it's still looking great. Like, these guys haven't faltered yet. And they made it without Buxton and Correa for a little bit. That was even more impressive. You look at the pitchers, solid 5 innings, the ERA, they're not getting murdered where it's like, man, we need a pitcher. Their pitchers are like, look, our bats are hot. We're doing just enough. Let's hold off. We might give up some here, but if we can hold off and get through this with the next maybe 3 or 4 pitchers in the next couple of innings, each of you going to pitch 1 inning, or you're going to get 2 innings. They're working that bullpen perfectly right now. But I got to say golf. Honestly, when you see that, like in track, it reminds me of like the 4x4, relay. And that last person gets the stick maybe 100 yards or 100 meters behind. and they just kick it into gear and kill it. Somehow they catch up and make it a race at the end. That's what that felt like, in that golf. Like golf, and nothing against golf. I love it. Playing it, watching it, it's not a lot that makes it exciting. Like when Tiger played, it always was, because if he was in striking distance, that was must-see TV. The galleries were ridiculous. Every shot he takes, you see the heads turn like a dog chasing a tennis ball. So I'm going to go with golf just because of the distance.
The golf was exhilarating. It was super fun to watch the playoff. I think I actually lean baseball. The Twins come back, and here's why. Because Thomas didn't need to make up all 7 of those strokes himself. The leaders came back to him.
Yeah.
Mito Pereira hits the ball in the water on the 18th hole. They go to a playoff with Za'darius. But it's not like Thomas was, shooting a 60. He shot a nice 67. He had a solid round on a tough day to play. Everybody else came back to him. The Twins had to make up every single run. They had to score all 7 of those to win that game. So I'm going to go Twins.
Okay.
Next question. The Timberwolves are in negotiations with Tim Connolly, the Denver Nuggets executive, to be their new president of basketball operations. If they hire Connolly, Ron, what should his first move in that position be?
Well, first, he's got to look at the free agents out there. If D'Lo is the guy, like if you're really going to say D'Lo's the guy, go get him. Go do what you got to do to solidify this big 3 or small 3, whatever you want to call it, 2 + 1. And then look at the free agents, though. You got to look at the guys that possibly, I know some guys are unrestricted free agents. Some guys have a player option like John Wall, James Harden, Russell Westbrook. Let's take him out of there. Bradley Beal, Kyrie Irving. Kyrie, Anthony Edwards, karl-Anthony Towns. Kyrie is sick of all the junk with the Nets. Young coach and Chris Finch. Maybe Kyrie's ready to come win one with a big cat. But then you have unrestricted free agents out there. Zach LaVine, is it time for him to come back? What do you put into this group? Is there a guy out there? Because looking at the rest of these names, there's not Tyus Jones. Can he come be a true point guard? So there are some that PJ Tucker, another brute force. You add another Patrick Beverly, so they become the Bash brothers. And PJ Tucker is a tremendous defender. And he's getting older though, so we gotta admit that. I gotta be honest about that. 11 years in the league, he's getting old, but he's not requiring that much money. He was only making $7 million last year, so he's a guy you can get in to be a true defender. He sees the Timberwolves now as an up and coming team. They've grown. So if I am, I'm scouring this. Even like Dennis Schroeder. He doesn't give you a lot, but he does give you energy off the bench. Avery Bradley, 12th year. I don't know if that's one. I don't know about JaVale McGee, but he's cheap. It is his 15th year coming up. He's a guy that gives you energy off the bench. I don't know what he's going to give you though in year 15. So that's what I would look at. I would look at some of these guys. I think people forgot how good like Marvin Bagley Jr. was supposed to be. There's a lot of guys out there that you can add that might fit into this Timberwolves puzzle. That's number one. So figuring out the D'Lo situation and then scouring this list of guys, because no longer do you need a true point guard anymore. You can get away with Zach LaVine pushing up the ball or Anthony Edwards and those two just being guards. You don't need a point. Now you got 2 explosive guards with karl-Anthony Towns, 2 shooters with karl-Anthony Towns. Now D'Lo is a shooter, but he's not a true point guard. So what are you getting out of that? Tyus Jones is a true facilitator. His plus minus when he's on the court was the best, one of the best in the NBA. So do you bring him back home now? Is it time for him to come run the Timberwolves? That's his childhood dream. So they drafted him. He didn't get to run the team at that point, moved on, done some great things in Memphis behind Ja Morant. Is it time for him to have his own team now? Is it time for him to take over D'Lo's role and become a true point guard and let Anthony Edwards and karl-Anthony Towns go get you some points? And then when it's time for Tyus to score, we know he can do it because he's done it at Duke. He's done it at Apple Valley High School. So, hey, that's what I do.
Yeah, and the only way that you're taking on either of those guys is if you get rid of the Russell salary. That's the only way. And that's why I said you got to figure that out. Yeah, the best case scenario, I think, is if you could find some way, and I don't think it's likely, to trade Russell for picks. So then you've got the money, and then you put the money into a player like a LaVine or a Jones. I would love to bring either one of them back. It would be amazing. I love LaVine. He'd be a much better fit than Russell, I think. And Jones too. I mean, we've seen what Jones can do. Like the plus minus when he was on the floor in that series was incredible. He's a defender, he's a facilitator, he's a shooter. I love Tyus Jones. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Speaking of the NBA, we've got a couple series that are getting a little lopsided. I know the Warriors Mavs, it might be over. 3-0 Warriors. It's 2-1 Heat after the Heat steal one on the road against Boston. So I ask you, Ron, can either the Mavs or the Celtics come back?
Yeah, the Celtics for sure, because Jimmy Butler now, I talked about it earlier, the unwritten rule in basketball, don't hurt guys. Like you can go make big, like we looked at the big hit on Gary Payton, when he got hit and he broke his arm. You don't do that kind of stuff. You don't purposefully do stuff that can injure a guy, especially a guy that's trying to make money, which is every guy. But you don't hurt guys, period. Like that's just a thing. Like, but especially guys that their stories, they bounce around the league, and all of a sudden, because you are in a moment, you just swipe and take them out. Pulling Jimmy Butler's leg at that point. What was the point of that? Like that was a Grayson Levine move there. That was dirty. So yes, the Celtics can, because we've seen what Jason Tatum can do. They're only one game back, so they win one tonight. Is it tonight or Wednesday? It's Wednesday. It is today.
Tonight.
It's 7:30 tonight. Yeah. So they win tonight, and then they have game 5 on Wednesday the 25th, and then Friday is game 6. So you win one tonight, is 2-2. You do got to go back to Miami for game 5, and then you get it back home for game 6. So I think that's what they want to push it. You go down 3-1, it could be over in Miami on Wednesday. So I know they want to push that game 6 to get it back home, even though they don't have home court. They want to push to a game 7. So Miami and Heat is not over, and Jimmy Butler's injury is not great for them. Whereas the Warriors, it's done. Like Luka's done. Yes, he keeps giving you 40 points. He's a ridiculous highlight, but he's done. And Wiggins, I mean, it didn't count. I think they gave him an offensive foul on that when he dunked on Luka. But my goodness, like Wiggins has gone back to Kansas Wiggins. Like he's Kansas Wiggins. He's comfortable. He's pulling up, stop and pop. He's giving them 19, 21 points, in certain games. He's just the energy. He's taking off from the dotted, punching it in Luka's face. Like and he doesn't get excited. That's what I love about Wiggins. Like he dunks and he just kind of looks around like, oh, did I just do that? Like he's so aloof, with his game. But I know, part of it too is he doesn't have that confidence that he had at Kansas. He had lost it in Minnesota. People didn't trust him. Jimmy Butler beat him down. And now he's getting it back with the nurturing Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. So it's over for the Warriors. I picked the Warriors in the Heat. So half of my picks are in. But the Heat, Celtics, it's still a ball game.
It feels like we're headed for another former Timberwolf to hoist the trophy, because Garnett gets traded, wins with Boston. Kevin Love gets traded, wins with Cleveland. And now Wiggins and Butler both, they could be facing each other in the finals. One of them has to win. Just more former Wolves going and having success outside of Minnesota.
Yeah, and if Boston wins, KG's going to be there to celebrate. So then Minnesota fans still aren't going to be happy. So
Right
either way you slice it up, because Mavs aren't in. Any of the 3 teams, Timberwolves fans won't be happy because KG is going to be out there with Paul Pierce. And I don't know I think they accepted Ray Allen back, but, Perkins is going to be there. And Rondo probably show up for the finals. I mean, the stars show up, but KG's going to show up for one of those games, and then Minnesota fans will still be mad. Like, why hasn't A-Rod accepted KG back? Why haven't they put his number up? Why didn't they give him a spot on the bench? All this stuff. So yeah, it is what it is. But I want to thank everybody for joining me today on the Ron Johnson Show. It is my birthday, so looking forward to the rest of the day of doing absolutely nothing. Like, I'm going to relax. I'm just going to hang out and get some rest. But please go back and watch the Spice Adams interview. He has some great things to say about NILs and Nick Saban, and I think some things that we can all learn from. Don't be a hater, but check it out. But make sure you subscribe to Locked On Sports Minnesota on our YouTube channel. You can search the Ron Johnson Show, and you can download and take us wherever you want, wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you.